You're watching a 1948 film called Jungle Goddess. It's the story of two men who find a missing young woman whose plane had crashed in the jungle years earlier. They do find her, but one of the men shoots and kills a native, and he can't understand why it's a big deal. Even George Superman Reeves says, "Bob's okay, a little gun happy, I suppose." It's a film that's offensive in many ways. Anyway, the beautiful blonde white woman who is worshipped by the natives is played by Wanda McKay. Like always, I began to wonder who Wanda was, and unfortunately I didn't find out a lot. Oh sure, I found a few things interesting, but I never really figured out just who this lady was. It seems she never did interviews, nor did anyone do interviews about her. There are no biographies, or at least none that I can find, so this is probably the most incomplete biography I've done so far. Wanda McKay, who are you? For instance, I'm still unsure of how many siblings she had. I know she had a sister, even though many websites list her sister's name as Dorothy, which is ridiculous because that's Wanda's real first name. And while most sites list her as having one brother, she might have had two. I'll explain my confusion about that a bit later. By the way, for the record, her sister's name was Donna. Anyway, I did my best, so here we go. She was born Dorothy Ellen Quackenbush in Portland, Oregon on June 22, 1915. Her parents were Guy Glenn and Ethel Zula Quackenbush. The family moved to Fort Worth, Texas, and that's where she grew up, attending Polytechnic High School. And then they moved to Kansas City. I must say I love the name Quackenbush. It's a lot more interesting than McKay. I even named my pet mouse Quackenbush. Here's an article from 1917 in the Phillips County Post from Kansas. I assume it's about our Dorothy Quackenbush. Mrs. Guy Quackenbush and daughter Dorothy of Salem, Oregon, Mrs. Shields of Kansas City, Missouri, and Miss Opal DeLapp were guests of Miss Ed Page and Mother at an elaborate 6 o'clock dinner Saturday evening. Little Dorothy enjoyed every minute of her visit, and when it was time to go to Slumberland, tried to forget she was even sleepy. Wanda attended school and went through all her lower grades in Fort Worth, attending the movie houses every Saturday afternoon, as all kids do, but never dreaming that she would wind up working in Hollywood with some of her favorite screen idols. Her real name is Dorothy Quackenbush, which studio heads thought too long. She was born in Portland, Oregon, daughter of G.G. Quackenbush, head of a tire concern. After she attended grammar grade, the family moved to Fort Worth, Texas, where Wanda attended Polytechnic High School. She majored in art, typing, and shorthand, having a business career in mind. After being graduated, Miss McKay went to New York and started as a model. During that period, her family moved to Kansas City, Missouri, where she won a bathing beauty contest. That bathing beauty contest, I believe, was something called the Kansas City State Catalina Finals, whatever that is. Here's a picture of Dorothy working as a fairy princess in a Kansas City department store. Now, as far as I can tell, at this point she began working for TWA. She also worked as a New York model, and I'm not sure if this was before, during, or after she worked for the airline, but apparently she was very successful. That's all I could really find out about her early days. Our story really begins on June 6, 1938, when she was chosen Miss Aviation of 1938. Trans World Airlines executives saw some photographs of Wanda in a photographer's window. They invited her to become Miss TWA for Kansas City and compete for the national title of Miss American Aviation against girls from every state. Beauties seek air crown here. A salute to beauty might be the title of this picture. This eyeful is Miss Dorothy Quackenbush of Kansas City, Missouri. As TWA's entry, Miss Quackenbush will compete with other beauties for the title of Miss American Aviation of 1938 during the National Carnival here Saturday and Sunday. Kansas City Girl is Air Beauty at Birmingham's show. With the crowd estimated at 200,000 looking on, Miss Dorothy Quackenbush of Kansas City Monday had been chosen Miss American Aviation of 1938 in a beauty pageant in the closing events of the 8th Annual National Air Carnival here. Meet Miss American Aviation of 1938. Proposed to by an Oklahoma banker, a Missouri tycoon, a Chicago newspaperman, and almost proposed to by another one from Birmingham, Miss Dorothy Quackenbush of Kansas City, Missouri, representative of TWA, proved Saturday night that a girl just doesn't every day get proposals from bankers and newspapermen and win the coveted title of Miss American Aviation. I've done some professional modeling, just enough to make me feel easy when I appear before a crowd, but now I'm all aflutter, she said, just after Henry King, ace movie director for 20th Century Fox, placed the crown upon her head and declared her winner of the beauty event. In addition to dazzling beauty, Miss Quackenbush has many more natural endowments. She draws pictures remarkably well, particularly on a tablecloth while she's busy declaring she cannot draw. She boasts a remarkable soprano voice. I really do want to sing, she confided. In fact, I spend most of my spare time now taking singing lessons. Perhaps someday I'll be fortunate enough to make the radio or the movies. Just wait till television comes along and you won't need to sing, Miss Quackenbush. Likes her work. I like to work very much, she declared, but I have no ambition to become an air hostess. They evidently have grand jobs, but I'm getting a lot of fun out of life just clerking and modeling. Assured the public was interested in her romantic affairs, Miss Quackenbush laughed merrily and told of the various proposals she had received. It just happens to every girl, it seems, who is moderately good-looking and can dance without stumbling, she said modestly. I was particularly interested and flattered by the newspaperman's proposal because I like newspapermen. Woo-woo! Miss Dorothy Quackenbush of Kansas City is now a New York model and holds a movie contract. An unusually beautiful brunette, Wanda is 5 feet 2 inches and weighs 106 pounds. She has green eyes. Her hobbies are swimming and tennis, and her great ambition is to own her own airplane. Before signing with Paramount, she was aspired to be a regular hostess on the line. So this led to a movie contract with Paramount Pictures after being discovered by Bill LeBaron, but there were a couple of problems. Dorothy Quackenbush, the Kansas City girl who won the title of Miss American Aviation and then a movie contract. She has 2 obstacles: a name not suited for theater marquees and an accent she says is a Kansas City, Texas mixture. More Dorothy. Dot tells an interesting story of the way she came to have the name Wanda McKay. When she conferred with producers in regards to the selection of a name, the producers had just been talking to a girl named Wanda. They liked the name, but the girl was not an actress. When Dot came in, the name Wanda was still fresh in the minds of the producers. One of the men said, "Let's make it Wanda." It became Wanda. Then came the selection of a last name. One of the producers picked up the telephone directory and thumbed through it. He came across the name McKay. McKay, he said, would go nicely with Wanda. Dorothy Quackenbush is today Wanda McKay. Lamore and Drew. Dot might have been allowed to retain one of her given names if it hadn't been for Dorothy Lamore and Ellen Drew. Miss Quackenbush's full name is Dorothy Ellen Quackenbush. At first she told the producers for whom she had discussed a screen name that she would like to keep her first name Dot. You can't, she was told. You'd be confused with Dorothy Lamore. 1 dot on the lot is enough. How about Ellen, she asked. You can't have that name either. Ellen Drew beat you to it. So Dot became Wanda. Dorothy Quackenbush, an airline hostess, was recently given a contract and will be known on screen as Wanda McKay. Her first part will be in $1,000 a touchdown. Pretty Wanda McKay, real name Dorothy Quackenbush, today exchanged her flying tags for a makeup kit and embarked on a career in motion pictures. She attracted Hollywood's attention when, as a TWA hostess, She posed in flying rigs for billboards, magazine covers, and photographs. Paramount Studios, which has signed Wanda McKay to a long-term contract, says she has wham! A combination of oomph, glamour, and sex appeal. A former New York model, she makes her debut in $1,000 a touchdown. Her real name is Dorothy Quackenbush. She has green eyes and brown hair. So Wanda started working for Paramount and, as stated in the previous article, her first film was $1,000 a touchdown, starring Joe E. Brown and Martha Raye. However, I've watched that film a couple of times, and if she is in the film, she is probably one of the women in this scene. If you can tell which one, you're better than I.
Let's go, gals. On your mark, get set, go!
Same goes for her next film, All Women Have Secrets. Again, I assume she's playing one of those college students.
Well, I thought I'd seen everything, but when a salad like Doris can get herself pinned by the football captain...
I guess that goes to say that the way to get along is to be a free neck.
It's been known to work, darling. Not with every man you meet.
Well, Dick says a lot of boys smooch only because they think the girl expects it.
It's not the line you sling. It's the wool you fling.
In the film The Way of the Flesh, she actually gets to speak.
Something good in a cigar?
The imported ones. These are 30 cents and these are 50 cents.
The 50-cent kind. My friend first. For you.
Thank you.
Although she was in many films for Paramount, she was almost always uncredited. But in January of 1940, she became famous for a different reason. Well kissed. But Wanda McKay does it for only art, science, and movie economy. The most thoroughly kissed girl in a kiss-conscious Hollywood, at least for today, is Wanda McKay. Miss McKay, nee Quackenbush, lent her lips to art, science, and motion picture economy in a kissing bee sponsored by Wally Westmore, the makeup artist. 6 months ago, Westmore undertook to provide a kiss-proof lip rouge for an industry which thrives on kiss scenes. Today, he undertook a brush and went to work on McKay's mouth. 2 minutes later, the petite green-eyed brownette was ready with lips armored to meet oscillatory advances. 74 kisses, 3 men, later her lips were still perfect artistically. Miss McKay giggled occasionally. "I get so tickled I can't help it," she explained. Wanda McKay, on a junket to a film premiere, she was ranked as one of the most beautiful girls on the trip. From plane to screen, Wanda McKay, who has a featured role in Paramount's Bing Crosby, Dorothy Lamour co-starring feature Road to Singapore, virtually flew into pictures. She was the chief hostess for a transcontinental airline when a talent scout discovered her as a possessor of screen potentialities. As far as I know, she wasn't in Road to Singapore. In fact, I see that a lot. Mentions of her being in films that she doesn't appear to be in. I wonder if many uncredited roles don't appear on her IMDb. But for someone who is only getting uncredited roles in movies, stories of Wanda consistently appeared in the paper, like when she met the Chicago White Sox when they were in California. And of course, dating rumors were constantly flying, especially an apparent love triangle with Wanda, John Howard, and Dorothy Lamour. Cuff notes: John Howard and Wanda McKay, Paramount's new pretty, are likely prospects for a wedding ring salesman. Wanda earring when? Wanda McKay, the Paramount starlet who used to be Dorothy Quackenbush when she attended Polytechnic High School, is the new heart interest of John Howard, the movie star. He calls her every night by long distance from Lake Mead, Nevada, where he is on a fishing trip. Wanda McKay has a new heart interest, Pete Freeman. Hedy Lamarr is now sharing John Howard with Wanda McKay. Wanda McKay and magazine writer Richard English are a paragraph. Wanda McKay and John Howard are a surprise twosome at Charlie Foy's. Wanda McKay is showing a lot of interest in Howard, who not long ago was supposed to be Hedy Lamar's. Writer Richard English departs for South America next week, which has Wanda McKay's face twice its usual length. Whoever she was dating, the dates apparently didn't last too long, as the 24-year-old Wanda was home early. Wanda McKay, former NWA hostess now under contract to Paramount, has revealed plans for a novel new girls' club. The organization is called Get Ahead, and the members include 9 other young contract actresses. They are pledged to be home by 9 o'clock every night except Saturday, when the deadline is stretched to 10 o'clock. Invitations have been extended to young actresses on other studio lots by the president of the organization, Wanda McKay, known as the most beautiful airline hostess in America before Paramount decided she ought to be in pictures and placed her under contract. Plans for the odd Get Ahead Club were formulated on the set of Paramount's I Want a Divorce, in which Miss McKay has a featured role. Wanda wasn't a featured player in the film I Want a Divorce. In June of 1940, she took a trip home, and this seems a very strange story. For the sake of sweet publicity, Wanda McKay, née Dorothy Quackenbush, Paramount player visiting her Kansas City home, was dragged out to Old Tiffany Castle Thursday afternoon to perch on Wichita's famous haunted mattress. Apparently, this was a promotion for a Bob Hope film called Ghost Breakers. If Wanda was in that film, it isn't listed on her IMDb page. Wanda played another cigarette girl in Paramount's 1941 film Las Vegas Nights. It would be her last film for the studio as a contract player. Depending on who you believe, she was either dumped or asked to be let out of her Paramount contract because of the roles she had been getting. Wanda McKay, who was Dorothy Quackenbush, the New York model, and Paramount have gone up in smoke. Wanda reports to Warner Brothers where she is due for a big build-up. Emboldened, Wanda told Paramount she wasn't satisfied with her progress. She asked for her release. But oddly, as soon as she was out of Paramount, she was hired by the same studio for a good role in the film Twilight on the Trail. Wanda McKay, who was pretty little Dorothy Quackenbush airline stewardess until pictures bit her, had a contract at Paramount until recently. The most notable opportunity she had, unless I missed an epic or two, was the day she served as the guinea girl for a new kiss-proof makeup. So they dropped Wanda McKay, and now they've hired her back for Bill Boyd's new Hopalong Cassidy, Twilight on the Trail. The way to get work in Hollywood is to get fired.
Dad, why don't you send these men back where they came from? They're making us the laughingstock of the county. They can't ride, they can't shoot, and from what I've seen, they can't even detect their own shadows.
That's enough, Lucy. When it's twilight on the trail. Saddle up! We're going after the rustlers.
I'm going too.
You can't, Lucy. It's too dangerous.
I can ride and shoot with any of the men. I'm going.
Wanda McKay was the first Hopalong Cassidy heroine for Paramount who had to learn to ride a horse before the cameras in Twilight on the Trail. All 40 others were experienced horsewomen. And while all this was going on, and the papers kept talking about who she was dating, she got married. Secret is out. Wanda McKay, 22-year-old screen actress, today revealed she had been the bride of Ben Roscoe Jr. since May 6th. They were married in Las Vegas. Miss McKay, whose real name is Dorothy Ellen Quackenbush and a native of Portland, Oregon, entered pictures in 1939. Wanda was signed by Paramount in 1939 after she had been an airline's most photographed stewardess. She was born in Portland, Oregon 22 years ago. The bridegroom is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Ben Roscoe of this city. Ben Roscoe Jr. brought out a recording of his wedding to Wanda McKay just so Papa, who didn't know of the marriage until he read it in this column, could hear the ceremony. Oddly, I couldn't find any pictures of Ben and Wanda. In fact, I couldn't find any pictures of Ben Roscoe Jr. Also, the papers reported Wanda was 22 years old, but unless my math was off, she was 26. The marriage, however, didn't stop her acting career. Former airline hostess gets lead in film. gone Western. Wanda McKay, who was Dorothy Quackenbush to the students at Polytechnic High School several years ago, has gone Western. You will see her in the next Charles Scarlett Russell Hayden horse opera, The Royal Mounted.
Hello, honey.
Dad. Oh, I've missed you so much. Are you all right?
Well, I'm fit as a fiddle. Say, honey, you've grown into a mighty pretty girl. I want you to meet some friends of mine. This is Tom Cameron and Fuzzy Jones. I'm sorry, Kate.
Mr. Stewart was a good man. And I feel sure that this cattle rustling was due to that Tom Cameron's influence.
There was something about that Tom Cameron I didn't like. Especially when he accused you of being the wife of Bruce Gilpin the Bandit.
And just about a month after Wanda announced her marriage, the couple were expecting. The Ben Roscoes, Wanda McKay, will guest Sergeant Stork in February. The Ben Roscoe Jr.'s, Wanda McKay, are baby buggy shopping. Arrival is slated for late January. Their son, Richard Wallace, would be born in Los Angeles on December 10, 1941. But here's the thing about the marriage between Wanda and Ben. I can find nothing about them. They were divorced eventually. Some reports say soon after their son's birth, and Ben Roscoe was remarried in 1944, so I know it was over by then, even though some reports say they were divorced in 1950. Even when their son Richard was married in 1962, the articles didn't mention his father, and they referred to Richard as Richard McKay. Another one of life's mysteries. But now back to Wanda. She was free of her Paramount contract, and she turned to the studios on Poverty Row, mainly the Producers Releasing Corporation known as PRC, and Monogram Pictures. They might have been lesser studios making B pictures, but she often starred or co-starred in these films. However, apparently being a film actress wasn't her first choice of career. Actress would be a professional flyer. Although Wanda McKay has been away from the aviation industry for more than 2 years, the blonde leading lady of the Royal Mounted Patrol, now at the Riviera Theater, prefers it to any other occupation, even including the moving picture business. If it were possible, she would be a professional flyer. Adds to cast. Wanda McKay has been engaged for the leading feminine role in Bowery's At Midnight, newest Bela Lugosi starring vehicle, which has just entered production at Monogram. John Archer, Edward Kane, Bob Hill, and George Eldridge also have been signed for important roles.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wagner. I didn't mean to disturb you.
Oh, you never disturb me. What is it, Judy?
Well, I thought I'd consult you before ordering the supplies. This will sting just a little bit. There, that didn't hurt much, did it?
It don't hurt at all, Eddie. You see, it's true. I knew there was another reason for you and Carl spending half your nights down there.
You've no idea what a mysterious fondness I have for that man.
Horace! Oh, hurry up, Mr. Callahan! Oh, my poor horse. Are you all right, Horace?
Give me some air. I'm suffocating.
Oh,
Got some holes in here.
Well, how? What with?
Lock him in the closet.
You've got no right treating us like this. You gangster, you.
Just a moment. I object to this marriage. I'm Linda Fremont, George Fremont's niece. This man is not my uncle. He's an imposter.
Oh, hello, Rita.
Oh, Marshal, I'm so glad you came. I wanted to warn you. Joe knows about your badge.
My badge. Say, where's Joe Duncan?
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
A shooting star. Wanda McKay, feminine lead of the Pete Harrison E.B. Deer picture The Deer Slayer, is one of Hollywood's best marksmen, as she demonstrated between scenes of the shooting sequences of the picture. Miss McKay, whose bullseye score was 8 out of 10, proved she could outshoot any man on the set. And Wanda was also receiving mostly good reviews. Wanda McKay, as the daughter of a suspected rancher, will be received with acclaim. Here's a charming personality combined with real writing skills. Bela Lugosi seen in the starring role, and is again the suave villain in the type of role which has established him in such a distinctive position in the screen world. Also, contributions to the success of the film lie in the characterizations of John Carradine and George Zucco, and the blonde Wanda McKay is altogether charming in the lead feminine role. John Beal and Wanda McKay are seen as the newly married couple, and both deliver performances which are absolutely top-notch. Leave It to the Irish, a Monogram production, co-stars James Dunn and Wanda McKay in a crime story that everybody on the screen appears to be enjoying. Moviegoers who like laughs with their murder stories will have fun too, for there is plenty of slapstick humor in this film.
What's going to happen? Why is Father calling the police?
Call out the Marines if he could to keep us from getting married.
I know what I want. I want to marry Pinky and settle down and raise a family. Pinky's crazy about kids. Girls, you've got to help me get to Boulder Dam.
Oh, sorry, it'll be there for years.
Please, girls, I'm serious. I'll pay you liberally. I have plenty of money.
Oh, we're going to Las Vegas.
Well, that's close enough.
Imagine not knowing Steve had a sister. Why, there's 7 of us children all told. And Father had 4 brothers and 2 sisters.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
You know, Mrs. Carmody likes visitors almost as much as she does medicine, Kathy.
I know, but it's a long ride, and I'm not visiting today.
Bob, did you see what I saw?
What are you talking about?
Did you see his face? His head was so large.
It's your imagination, darling.
Wanda was really showing a knack for comedy in these pictures, like Hollywood and Vine and Leave It to the Irish.
I don't know what you want a gun for unless you're going to kill our dinner on the way.
Well, that's just it. We're not going to have dinner yet.
What?
I'm sorry, honey, but I have a very important case I'm working on. I won't be long.
Terry.
Honest, I won't be long.
Won't be long. Here it is, 8 o'clock, and I've been waiting since 6 o'clock, and you say you won't...
You! I found you!
What are you talking about?
Don't you remember me? Wait. Here's the dog. That calls for another hamburger.
Sorry, I have a dinner date.
But just a minute. Wait! You forgot something. Look!
Don't bother me.
But the dog!
If you don't stop following me, I'll call a policeman.
So this is where you live, huh?
It's none of your business.
The McKay girl, who only recently was elevated to leading parts, enjoys a new experience in Hollywood and Vine because the piece is unadulterated broad comedy. Hollywood and Vine. With Jimmy Ellison, Wanda McKay, and Daisy, it's the funniest comedy ever made about the film capital. A country dog comes to Hollywood and makes good. Wanda McKay in a slightly dreamy mood here, but she has things to dream about. She has become more in demand since her role in Monogram stage struck. Already she's been given a radio show and is up for top roles in 2 films, which will be produced later this year.
Montegreta hair, very beautiful. Bonama, did you study the spelling last night? Oh, yes, yes. Good. Then let me hear you spell, beautiful.
And that father much better, I trust?
No, he isn't.
Oh, so sorry. Regret exceedingly was not present when last unfortunate mishap occurred.
Yes, it'll be a miracle if he recovers.
In 1948, Wanda appeared in a film called The Story of Life, or Because of Eve. This strange film was a cautionary tale about sex. In it, a married couple, Sally and Bob, think they might be expecting a baby. At the doctor's office, it comes out that Sally had been pregnant once before, out of wedlock, and that Bob has had venereal disease.
Sally, that first baby didn't hurt you a bit. You can have a dozen more if you want to. And Bob, you'll be pleased to know that there's no trace of your old VD. 100% cured.
What did you say about a first baby? Sally, you never told me you'd been married before.
Doctor, what did you call it? VD? You mean to say that Bob has actually had one of those horrible diseases?
There are flashbacks to each couple's story, but most of the film shows the effects of VD, how sex works, and how babies are born. This is all shown in very graphic detail, leaving nothing to the imagination. It's a very disturbing film to watch, and I'm not going to show any of it here. As you can imagine, this film caused a stir and was often banned in certain cities. Why was Wanda McKay in such a film? I can only guess, but after Jungle Goddess and the Golden Eye, parts for the 33-year-old actress started to dry up. In fact, after 1948, she wouldn't be in another film until 1950, and that was an uncredited part as a shop girl in A Woman of Distinction.
You heard the latest? No. Well, they say that... No.
She was still making the papers, like when she was named Promenade Queen by the Wilshire Center, or when she helped clean up Monterey Park. Wanda McKay, Monogram studio star, will officiate tomorrow when the new queen begins to reign. Owen Kent, radio announcer, will MC the show. Wanda McKay, a dark-haired beauty at RKO, is resuming her interrupted career in 2 reel comedies, and it looks like a bet for future stardom. She was in 2 RKO shorts, The Fast and the Foolish and Hollywood Honeymooners with professional contortionist Bill Lamb.
Hiya, baby.
Oh, hi, Speedy.
Say, you're looking mighty trim today.
Oh, Speedy, this is Gil.
Hiya, Buster. Well, baby, you ready to go?
Well, just a second. Let me get something for my hair.
You know, I didn't even know they were still making 2 reel comedies in 1951. Anyway, with her film days coming to an end, she began to work on TV.
Now, Jim, don't you do anything frivolous. You just put whatever you have left right in the bank.
Not even just a little something?
Oh, get on with you.
Always business before pleasure. Dr. Jones.
Oh, well, thank heavens.
Why?
Well, you're just as welcome as the gentle rain. Granddad's mind caved in on him and broke pretty near every bone in his body. We've just been going plumb loco trying to find a doctor.
No doctor in a town of this size?
Oh, Doc Finley passed away about a week ago.
The same year she first appeared on the small screen, she started a new business with her brother, Bob, and that was home construction. Actress builds house as profitable sideline. Wanda McKay is a combination movie actress and lady house builder, which is quite a combination even in Hollywood. I like to have a little money in the bank, is how the petite player explains her unusual sideline. She and her brother Bob Quackenbush have formed a house building company which so far has built and sold 5 homes in the greater Los Angeles area. Wanda can read blueprints and handle a saw and hammer, but she says her big contribution is in design. I know what a woman wants in a house, especially such things as closet space and room size and location. It pays off because it's usually the wife who has the final say in buying. Now, the reason why I question her brother's name as Bob is that this is the only time I've read about a Bob Quackenbush. Most sources say she had one brother and his name was Jack. Is this a misprint or did she have 2 brothers? I'll have more on that in just a minute. Away from the studio, she played the feminine leads in the Lone Ranger, Ranger Rider, and Cisco Kid television shows. Says Lutzel, people who are guiding her career believe that Wanda is about to enter her most successful year since arriving in Hollywood. Jim Lutzel, by the way, was Wanda's representative. Wanna wrestle? Wanda McKay is in shape for her tussle with the Grunts and Groaners on KTTV's Sunday at 8 p.m. Ladies and the Wrestlers program. Wanda McKay and Wild Red Berry teamed up on The Wrestlers and the Ladies, have been aced out of those watches for 4 weeks running now, and are crying we was robbed. They vow they'll win tonight when the show takes to its new KTTV time spot at 8. Starlet Wanda McKay of Hollywood demonstrates how attractive a table centerpiece can be for the Christmas table. One like this can be built for about 10 cents, according to Miss McKay.
Isn't it marvelous? The golden peso vein's so rich, my dad can hardly believe his own essay report.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing so well.
I have to go, and Mr. and Mrs. Sewell are still waiting.
Maybe I can explain, Miss,
Benton, Sally Benton.
Oh, Benton. You have the same name as the town.
This is my town, and I run it, from the barber shop to the lumber mill. Now, start explaining.
There's an old law in this state that says that horse stealing's a death penalty. Well, I'm going to revive it. Lightning's a horse thief, and I'm going to have him killed.
But she planned it all the way. She made me kill him for Ted.
You dames are talking yourselves right under the chair.
I won't go alone. She killed my husband. She's got to pay for it. They can't prove a thing. She's lying, Inspector. She's lying again. You're rotten, Irma, for what you did to Ted and me. You're rotten.
Okay, ladies, let's go.
Now it seems like her home building company went through a few changes. In this legal notice, it seems her brother was now out, but this brother was named Jack. I'm not sure what happened to Bob, if there was a Bob. And then there was the McKay Honolulu Builders that was dissolved in December of 1955. But in 1959, Wanda McKay's life changed when she started to date songwriter Hoagy Carmichael. Hoagy Carmichael, the Stardust composer, and actress Wanda McKay made their idol public at the Kowloon in Los Angeles. Hoagy Stardust Carmichael is finding romantic moments again with Wanda McKay. Now, Wanda's last acting credit was in 1957 in an uncredited part in the Dean Martin comedy 10,000 Bedrooms.
Good evening, Hunter, New York. No, the Mr. Hunter you want left New York early this evening. Why, I'm absolutely positive, madam. Well, my best guess is somewhere between Lisbon and Rome.
Did she give up acting voluntarily, or was she just unable to get parts? I can't say. But it seems she had a pretty great life after. Hoagy Carmichael entertained the diners at the Fog Cutter while he was there celebrating his birthday. He was with Wanda McKay and was at the piano for over an hour. In December of 1962, her son married Maureen Wilson. Oddly, there was no mention of the young man's father. And finally, in 1977, after a courtship of 15 years, composer Hoagy Carmichael, 77, and actress Wanda McKay, 52, were married Friday in Palm Desert. The wedding was the second for each. They planned to live at the Carmichael home in Rancho Mirage. Actually, Wanda was 62, not 52, so it's not the big age gap that this newspaper article claimed. Carmichael leaned forward confidently. "I'll let you in on a little secret," he said. "Composing isn't all that difficult. You get yourself started on the right notes and the tune writes itself." Hoagy always says that, says his slim blonde wife. That's the secret of the whole thing, isn't it? She's the former Dorothy Quackenbush who acted in films as Wanda McKay and whom he persists in calling Dottie Quack because he knows it annoys her. They were married in 1977 after what can be described as a courtship of 15 years. And that's the end of our story. And you know what? I'm going to assume that Wanda lived her later years after retiring from acting, content and happy. I have nothing to back that up, but I also have nothing that says otherwise, so why not assume the best? After all, too many of these stories end on a depressing note. She remained married to Hoagy until his death in 1981. She had 2 grandchildren. Wanda left this world on April 11, 1996, when she sadly died of cancer. She was 80 years old. And one last note, Dick McKay, her son, became a United Airlines captain, and that's sort of fitting. Wanda, I believe, deserved better acting challenges than she was given. Without her to tell us how she felt about her career, I can only hope that she enjoyed it, was proud of the work she did, and had no regrets about giving it up.